The revelation that Grandpa Joe, Daniel's long-dead father, was alive and working with the escaped Uncle Richard sent shockwaves through the Coleman family. After their hard-fought victory over the syndicate, they now faced an even more personal and treacherous enemy. Peter paced the room, his mind racing. How is this possible? Grandpa Joe was supposed to be dead. Daniel, his face etched with a mix of disbelief and anger, spoke up. I attended his funeral myself. I don't understand. Sarah placed a comforting hand on her father's arm. Dad, you have to know, none of this is your fault. Grandpa Joe obviously had his reasons for faking his own death. John, ever the pragmatist, jumped in. We need to find him. And fast. Before he and Richard can regroup and rebuild the syndicate. The twins, Mike and Tom, exchanged a concerned glance. But how? I gasped. We've got no leads, no idea where they could be. All eyes turned to Jack, who had remained silent since delivering the shocking news. Jack, Peter said, you were part of the syndicate. Do you have any idea where they might have gone? Jack shook his head, his face etched with guilt. I'm sorry, I don't know. My father and grandfather kept me out of the loop on a lot of their plans. Mary, who had been quietly contemplating the situation, spoke up. Then we need to start digging. Comb through old records, family archives, anything that might give us a clue. Daniel nodded, his resolve hardening. Mary's right. We've faced challenges before, and we'll face this one together. No more secrets, no more lies. We'll uncover the truth, no matter what it takes. The family set to work, their determination fueled by a mix of fear and fury. They refused to let their grandfather and uncle destroy everything they had built. This was personal now, a battle for the very soul of their family. Days turned into weeks as they meticulously pored over every scrap of information they could find. The mole, true to their word, provided valuable insights, risking the wrath of their former syndicate allies to make amends. But despite their best efforts, the trail remained frustratingly cold. Grandpa Joe and Uncle Richard had covered their tracks well, seemingly vanishing into the shadows. Peter, his eyes strained from endless hours of research, slumped in his chair. It's like they've disappeared into thin air. John placed a hand on his brother's shoulder. We'll find them, Peter. We have to. Sarah, her voice laced with worry, chimed in. But what if we're too late? What if they've already started rebuilding the syndicate? The family fell silent, the weight of that possibility hanging heavily in the air. Suddenly Mary's eyes lit up. Wait, I think I found something. She hurried to the computer, her fingers flying across the keyboard. The others gathered around, their hearts pounding with anticipation. Mary turned to them, her expression a mix of excitement and trepidation. I think I know where they are. Daniel leaned forward, his gaze intense. Where? The old family cabin, Mary said, her voice barely above a whisper. The one Grandpa Joe used to take us to when we were kids. The siblings exchanged a somber look. That cabin held so many memories, both good and bad. It had been a place of solace, but also the site of countless arguments between their grandfather and father. Peter stood, determination etched on his face. Then that's where we're going. We end this once and for all. As the family prepared to confront their past, the weight of the decision settled heavily on their shoulders. They knew that whatever happened, nothing would ever be the same again. The journey to the remote cabin was tense and silent. The siblings stole anxious glances at one another, each lost in their own thoughts. Daniel, his lips set in a grim line, drove with a single-minded focus. When they finally reached the familiar, weathered structure, a hush fell over the group. Peter turned to his father. Are you ready for this? Daniel's eyes hardened with resolve. I have to be. For all of us. The family approached the cabin, their senses heightened, anticipating an ambush. But as they drew closer, they noticed the eerie silence. No sounds, no signs of life. Cautiously, they pushed open the door and stepped inside. The interior was shrouded in a thick layer of dust, untouched for what seemed like years. A chill ran down their spines. "Where are they?" John whispered, his hand gripping the gun hidden beneath his jacket. Daniel led the way deeper into the cabin, the floorboards creaking under his weight. The siblings followed, their eyes darting around the dimly lit space, searching for any sign of their missing relatives. Suddenly, a floorboard squeaked behind them. They whirled around, their weapons drawn, only to be met with the barrel of a gun. "Hello, my dear family," a voice drawled, dripping with contempt. "I've been expecting you." There, standing before them, was Grandpa Joe, a twisted smile on his face. Behind him, Uncle Richard emerged from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with malice. The Colemans stood frozen, caught off guard by the unexpected confrontation. Grandpa Joe chuckled, a hollow, mirthless sound. "Did you really think you could outsmart me?" Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady despite the fear that gripped him. "Father, what is the meaning of this? Why are you alive? Why are you working with Richard?" Grandpa Joe's eyes narrowed. "Oh, Daniel, always the dutiful son, trying to follow in my footsteps. But you never had the vision, the ambition that I did." He paced the room, his gaze sweeping over the siblings. "All of you, so content with your little family business, your pathetic attempts at philanthropy. You have no idea of the power that was within your grasp." Richard moved to stand beside Grandpa Joe, his lips curled in a sneer. "That's where we come in. We're going to finish what we started. The syndicate will rise again, and this time no one will be able to stop us." The Colemans felt their blood run cold. They had thought they had defeated the syndicate, but now they realized the true scope of the threat they were facing. This was a battle for the very future of their family and their company. Peter, his hand trembling slightly, spoke up. "You won't get away with this. We'll stop you, just like we stopped the syndicate." Grandpa Joe's laughter echoed through the cabin, sending chills down their spines. "Oh, my dear boy, you have no idea what you're up against." With those words, he raised his gun, his finger tightening on the trigger. The Colemans braced themselves, knowing that their final confrontation with the past had begun. As the gunshot rang out, the family's world shattered. They had thought they were prepared, but nothing could have readied them for the horror that was about to unfold. In the chaos and confusion that followed, the Colemans realized that this battle was far from over. Their family's very survival now hung in the balance, and the price they would have to pay might be more than any of them were willing to bear. The future had never looked so uncertain, and the Colemans found themselves staring into the abyss, unsure of whether they would emerge victorious or be consumed by the darkness of their family's past. The sound of the gunshot echoed through the cabin, shattering the tense silence. The Colemans braced themselves, their hearts pounding in their chests. But the pain never came. Instead, they watched in horror as Grandpa Joe crumpled to the ground,